early in my life, I wanted security as fast as possible. And I also read books, and I took an MBA in finance. And so the principle of compounding interest to me resonated. So if I was going to spend $1, I literally had to say to myself, do I want that enough when I'm going to trade that dollar for, rather than having 10 cents the rest of my life?
Mm-hmm. Welcome to the Mountain West Podcast.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Chad Moore, your host. Today, we tracked him down. We tracked down Bryce Blanchard, the number one investment broker in commercial real estate in the state of Utah. And it wasn't easy. Took a lot of phone calls, a lot of text messages. Love Bryce. I've known Bryce my entire career. I'm super excited about this pod. I've been on the schedule for a minute and I keep thinking about it. I woke up this morning, I was excited about it. You probably didn't think about it at all until about 5 minutes ago. But before we jump in, I'm going to surprise you with something. I asked a bunch of people, including some clients, to give me one superlative about Bryce Blanchard.
Wow. Oh, this is going to be interesting.
And this is what they said. I said, give me one superlative that makes you think of Bryce above everything else. Don't think about it, just say it. And these are what they are: exciting, positive, energetic, intelligent, knowledgeable, thoughtful, and the one that I thought was the coolest, engaged.
I love all those. Sweet.
I just thought that was cool.
Thank you for doing that.
I thought that was cool. So anyway, without further ado, I'd love to turn it over to you. Give us your origin story, your journey. We can kind of talk about the whole thing as we go, but I'm excited.
Thank you, Chad. I'm excited to be here. And as you know, I'll start with kind of the end of the story, at least where we're at today. And that is, I'm so excited to be part of Newmark Mountain West. And the merger that happened in August was a breath of fresh air for me personally and professionally, as well as everybody at Newmark. So us being back together, the family's been reunited. That has been super exciting and has supercharged our productivity, our synergy, and our view of our role in this marketplace and what we can accomplish with you guys. So that's been super fun. And that's where we're at today. My story started in a small town in Oregon, one of 8 kids. My dad later in life discovered the industry of real estate. And so I had some good...
The great David Blanchard.
Yes, he is a great. And he was more on the administrative side of the business. He wasn't a street broker or a developer, but he was a people person. And he had a great following around the country in his early days as the membership director of NAI. And then he worked with some clients like Airborne back in the day, which became DHL. Anyway, my dad's a great man.
He's a great guy. Yeah, actually, I'm sure there's some people that are listening that know David Blanchard. I met him when I was 16, just randomly at an NAI company party. And he was everything you just said he was. Yeah. Just a super energetic, awesome guy. And I'll actually ask you some questions about him later, but sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that's awesome. And I love the fact that people know my dad, because I would not be where I'm at today without him and my mom. So I went to Linfield College. I was a sports guy. I loved playing sports. I played baseball and basketball there, but I realized early on I was better at academics and sales. And so I took a liking into the business world, started looking at stocks and investing. And my dad actually got me a job interview in Utah, actually, after I graduated from Linfield with the infamous Bill Martin.
Yes. Yeah.
And Bill was in the middle of a brand change that we didn't know about at the time, from NAI to Colliers.
To Colliers. Yeah, I was there right when that happened.
And I was collateral damage. Bill didn't hire me after I drove out here in a broken leg in a truck. He said he was going to hire me and then didn't. So I kind of thought, you know what, screw those commercial real estate guys. They're not very good people. Yeah. And in Bill's defense, it was a weird time for him to then bring me on because I was David's son. Anyway, fast forward, I end up a year later moving to Utah now to do grad school. I got an MBA at BYU in finance. And so that was my foray into Utah. At that point in time, I wasn't going to do commercial real estate. I had my sights set on going to New York and being like a sports agent or an investment banker. But I met this guy named Mike Falk at a dinner in 1998.
Another legend.
Another Utah legend. And Mike and I took a liking to each other. He said, "Are you good with spreadsheets?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm pretty good with spreadsheets." "Can you sell?" "Yeah, I can sell." He's like, "I want you on our team." So I was one of the first hires coming out of grad school for NAI Utah, which was a startup here in 98. And I joined in 99.
Okay.
And there, Mike said, well, if you're good with spreadsheets and you can sell a little bit, we're pretty good in some of these specialties, but we don't have an investment guy yet. So he said, "Do you think you could sell investments?" And I, to this point in my life, I'd never owned a property, I never leased a property, never managed a property. I had a negative net worth, and I didn't even know where Highland Drive was. I was
I got
a student
this.
in Provo. So my answer, of course, was, yeah, of course I can sell investment properties. So that's been a theme in my life, is to bet on myself, to take risks, to create an opportunity for access, for upside. And with Mike and the early guys, they were great mentors. They had good clients, they had good market share, and I was able to find my niche in investment sales. And originally it was a focus on industrial product, because that's what my partners had great market share in. But then I realized in a market like Utah, if I'm going to sell industrial investments, I really need to learn office and retail as well. And so in May, that'll be 27 years I've been focused on selling retail, office, and industrial investments. And the people here in Utah, I was a Blazer fan. I was an Oregon guy, but I fully converted, as you know.
Hold that against
my
you,
love for the Jazz.
Yeah.
Well, because I've converted. I've become part of the fabric of this community. We've raised our 4 children here, my wife, Shelly, and I.
There is no greater Jazz fan than Bryce Blanchard.
It's funny.
I've been to many Jazz games with Bryce. He knows everybody there. He knows literally every. I don't talk about fans. I'm talking about like employees, fans, anyone and
the
everyone.
referees,
Players.
I know all the referees. I play pickleball with several of them.
It's crazy.
So we've tapped into that Jazz ecosystem, and I just think Utah is such a great community. I'm so grateful I found it. I raised a family here. I built a business here, and we're never going to leave. This is home.
What we were talking about your dad before, who I am a huge admirer of. I love David. He's a great guy. What did you learn from him that you apply to your life, to your business life now?
Yeah, I mean, number one, he had a work ethic that was unmatched. That guy, raised 8 kids and was all over the country. Just had a motor.
Yeah, he was traveling like
So
crazy.
the energy, the positivity, some of those comments, I would say I'm a chip off the old block in that respect. My dad also he wasn't educated. He didn't have the resources to get a degree, and he was from an even smaller town than me in Oregon. And so he was a self-made bootstrap guy. Where he would tell you his most success is he authentically cared about people. And people could say, well, hey, business is business, and that's kind of hokey. But the fact is, he authentically loved everybody in the business, even his competitors. And he, I think, framed for me how to be a player in the industry and find win-wins, and to do it in a way where you don't have to burn bridges. You can create abundance around you, and you can do it authentically, caring about every counterparty or stakeholder in a transaction. And so that genuine love for fellow man and that work ethic, and I think were things that my dad modeled very well for me.
Do you think that carries through? I mean, obviously you're dealing with these huge institutional level clients out of New York or Chicago or LA that are managing tens of billions of dollars. Do you think your authenticity in Utah translates to them, or do you think they're all just cold hard, give us the deal and we don't care?
I think there's a continuum. Some are at different spots on that continuum, but I do think that there is a sense of this marketplace, that this is a place where people can come, raise their family, have a business, low tax, low regulation, low crime, great quality of life. And so it becomes an investable community. And people know that while that's all arrows on an economic indicator sheet, at the end of the day, there's also a heartbeat in Utah. Yeah. And that heartbeat comes from, I think, the goodness of the people, the quality and the values that are here. And so I try to embrace that and model that. We're insanely competitive here, right? We all want to win, whether it's cheering for the U or BYU or the Jazz, the Mammoth. So we're a very competitive community. Youth sports here is huge, and everybody wants, we got the Olympics again. So Utah's got a competitive spirit that I think's compelling, but I also think the institutional guys look carefully at why they would invest here. And it's been a welcoming place. We bring people in and they feel like people are friendly, people are working hard. It's investable. And the institutions at the end of the day, it's about numbers, but those numbers are backed by principles and values. And so I think they pick up on that. And as a frontline sales guy, introducing them and doing the tours and doing the calls, I think I'm able to model that in a very real way. And they pick up on that. They like that.
Yeah. Hey, what's the other thing that's really interesting is, do you think I've known you for 25 plus years. And when I met you the first time, I was a huge admirer of you. I've always been that way. And there's one thing that's really interesting, and maybe you would disagree with me, but I've always felt like you're a highly disciplined human being. And in my career, I've always felt like discipline equals success in what we do in brokerage, maybe not in all aspects of business or life, but How do you think that plays in? Like you mentioned sports.
Yeah.
There's always that weird. Have you ever heard people say that like former collegiate players translate to commercial real estate brokerage really well?
For sure. Yeah. I think the discipline, the structure, Lipsy, the company that tracks the commercial industry, did a study and they said, what are the factors that translate into a very successful commercial real estate broker? And you might think, was it negotiating skills, salesmanship, work ethic, education, all these different things, economics, finance knowledge? There were two prevailing indicators for what makes an alpha in our industry. And those two things that came through on every person was intense competitiveness. So there's your college athlete parallel. And then what they call the have a beer factor. Are you the kind of person that other people want to hang out with, spend time with, reference in their social circle? You need to be a hub to the spokes of your community. So for me, it's have a root beer factor, but the same kind of principle. And those two things, if you think about it, Chad, are actually at odds with each other. It's like the principles of justice and mercy. How do I satisfy both?
Yeah.
How am I intensely competitive, but do that in a way that you don't drive people off? Because a lot of competitive people are hard to be around.
Did you ever read the first David Goggins book?
No.
You know who David Goggins is?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. It's actually, he said exactly what you're saying right now. He is the most competitive human in the world, but he also admits everybody hates me. I'm a total prick. And so he never was able to like mesh the two together.
Yeah. And the broker has that it factor to be both very disciplined and competitive, but do it in a way that is still likable.
Yeah.
That translates into some charismatic influence and sociality that people want to be close to you. You don't piss them off because you're constantly trying to win every argument. And I think that's why as a broker or any stakeholder in our business, it goes back to, do you have the ability to create win-wins? Are you listening to what the win is on the other side? And do you have the intelligence, the creativity, and the desire to literally put together win-wins, and then have the technique to communicate that in a way that doesn't feel inauthentic and that is real and people trust you really did go for a win-win there. So I think the athletic thing did translate for me. And in my life, I'll tell you, one of the things I'm 51 now, Chad, and I think one of the reasons you're probably doing this podcast is
close.
You've learned in life and you want to give back, whether it's through a mentorship or, I'm teaching some classes at the U. I mean, you want to give back because we've done this for a while.
Yeah.
And so this podcast is a great way to give back. And as you say that, one of the things I've been telling everybody that will listen to me, I do this little thing called, in my car, it's called consulting from the car.
I've watched them. Yeah.
2 or 3 minute sound bites. But one of the things that is a life hack for productivity, the discipline you talked about, that everybody should do that listens to this. And it's what's helped me be successful. Because as you know, in brokerage, it's popcorn. You make commitments, you say you'll do this, you need to follow through on that. You've got 20 different deals going. Plus you got your wife and kids and your social life and your civic stuff. I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah.
So I have created a system of discipline. And that is, if I agree to do something, anything, make a commitment to you, to her, or even as important to myself quietly, that commitment then is either done in that moment, check, or it gets put in a master task list that second. And if it's time sensitive, then with a date or time of when I will do it, or I don't say yes. Because what drives people crazy is people in their life, in business and brokers, if people say they're going to do something, do they do it?
That's right.
Do they follow through? And if you're busy, you might intend to do that, but I can sleep at night because before I go to bed, I have looked at that list 10 times during the day and I've been working things off that list and it keeps me straight. So the minute you say to anybody that you'll do something, if it can't be done that moment, it's got to go to a place in a calendar or a to-do list, and you've got to hold yourself accountable. And then my dad likes to say, money is a byproduct of the service well rendered. This is a David Blanchard quote.
That is a David Blanchard.
And he said, if you serve people and if you take care of them, you follow through with your commitments, they will stuff money in your pockets. And I found that to be true. The world needs people that care about them and serve them and follow through. When you say you're going to do something, you better do it. So the busier you are, the more you got to have a system.
So when my suspicion of you being highly disciplined was 100% accurate. You're very
Yeah. I mean, it's health and fitness, whatever it is. I mean, discipline's a good word for it. Maybe it's ADD, maybe it's OCD. I don't know. I might have a condition, but I need to get a lot done every day. And yeah, I've got a certain way that I get it all done.
I don't know if I'm sure you remember this, but a long time ago, 20 plus years ago, you did something called, I can't remember the name of it, but it was like a financial fitness is what it was.
Oh, yeah.
Financial fitness.
A little seminar.
Yeah, you did a seminar, I think it was after hours or something.
Yeah.
And I actually went to a couple of them. So what a lot of people don't know about you is you're this incredibly successful commercial real estate broker making all this money, but you have a different side also where you're heavily involved in, financial planning, and you're always preaching about save money and do this and do that.
Yeah.
Commercial real estate brokers are probably, like all salespeople, notoriously bad with their own money.
Yeah. Money in, money out.
Yeah. So we
Yeah, you
can make
chase-
a lot of money, but man, do we figure out a way to spend 105%.
You chase
of it.
lifestyle. When you get six figures coming in, it's hard to not say wahoo and go do
Even
that.
though you haven't had six figures coming in for about 20 plus years, but yeah,
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
it's been a little more.
I've committed. When I was a kid, I would play Monopoly by myself. And I would build spreadsheets and investment.
I got to write that down.
Yeah,
Might be the
but,
best quote.
this is true. My wife's actually hanging a picture in my office at home. We just remodeled with a Monopoly board to pay tribute to the fact that I would sit there and do
Did
that.
you switch places?
Yeah. I would play with myself because I couldn't find any of my siblings were as competitive as me. So I was, anyway, a little messed up. But and then I would build stock portfolios. Before I had the money to buy stocks, I built fake portfolios. And both my dad grew up with a very uncertain financial childhood, and to some extent, until I became much older, we had a lot of that. And so early in my life, I wanted security as fast as possible. And I also read books, and I took an MBA in finance. And so the principle of compounding interest to me resonated. So if I was going to spend $1, I literally had to say to myself, do I want that enough? What I'm going to trade that dollar for? Rather than having 10 cents the rest of my life. Literally, every time I do buy anything, that was the calculus in my own mind. And so early as a broker, I started putting money into investment deals. I bought my first stock in 1999 with my first commission. I bought Verizon. I still own it to this day.
Verizon Wire, that's my client.
There you go. I love Verizon.
Stock doesn't do as well as it used to.
It's got a good dividend, over a 6% dividend. So there's different reasons to own different things. But yeah, I'm a huge believer in stock and investing, huge believer in putting money in our industry. Huge believer in compounding interest, and also investing in what you know. So I invest in companies and with people and in real estate that I personally know. Where I find there's so many tragic stories is when people invest in things that other people know or other people say they know, even worse.
Right.
I think one of the tricks of the trade is develop expert power in your life where you know something better than other people. Then it becomes very investable. And I would tell people to find out what that is, what they have a passion for. And companies, when I was paying for gas every day, commuting downtown when I was poor, I realized I'm a price taker with the oil companies. I can't not go to my job. So what did I do? I wanted to financially hedge that, and I bought oil stocks. I'm up hundreds of percents in energy funds, ConocoPhillips. I realized that Amazon showed up every morning at my house now. Well, I want to be on the other side of that trade, so I bought Amazon stock. When I saw my wife started buying Amazon. So every time a package shows up, I'm like, great, more money in my, my stock's going up. So I think you create for yourself financial hedges, invest in what you know. And I also have seen people in my life, you get over your skis with investments, and what's the right size of an investment? This is an important concept. It needs to be big enough relative to your chip stack, your other diversified investments, your liquidity, your net worth goals, that if it goes well, like it mattered. I get a little bit of an endorphin spike. It mattered.
Yep.
If it's too small, it's like whatever. The investment went well. It didn't matter. But the investment can't be so big that if it goes poorly, it changed my lifestyle, my wellness, my sleep, my stress levels. So each time anybody, and sometimes there's a FOMO and something's going well, so you say, oh, let's double down. No. Unless the double down is the right amount because things have gone very well in other departments. So I preach a lot to people that want to listen to investments. Invest in what you know, and the size of the bet needs to be enough to matter, but not so much that if it goes bad.
Two of my mentors in that respect, Herm Franks and my brother Bob Moore, always said the check on an investment needs to hurt. Not a lot, but it needs to hurt a little bit.
I like that.
And never
well
do
said.
one deal that can sink your whole ship.
Yeah.
And those two things I've always tried to live by.
Yeah.
I think it's
love
important.
that. Never bet the farm.
Never bet the farm.
Unless you're in your
We
20s
see it all the time,
and you
though.
can build a new farm.
I mean, how many times have you seen that?
So many times.
It's brutal.
It's brutal. You can't have one deal, your last deal, your biggest deal, unwind the previous 10 or 20 that got you to that spot. So, I mean, it's the age-old principle of diversification, and you can't be greedy.
So last month, you closed $100 million of commercial real estate
That's true.
in 1 month.
It
And
was a good February.
and you're 51 and you don't need the money at this point. Obviously, you've been making a lot of money for a lot of years. What drive? It's not money that drives you, obviously. What drives you?
Yeah, I mean, those 6 deals, it was 2 retail and office and 3 industrial. And I've got a great team, by the way. I'm going to shout out Steve Walton and Suzanne Bender, who've been with me for years. They're incredible in doing what I do. But so they're part of what drives me. I've got a team, and I like working with those people. We've been working a long time. We flow well together. There's no drama. We're like brothers and sisters. They're in my estate, for heaven's sakes. That's how important they are to me. And Steve and Sue are amazing. So they're part of the reason I can still produce at this level, because I have a big life. I like to travel. I like to coach my kids. I have passions of golf and pickleball, a lot of community stuff I do. So what drives me still, though, Chad, and you'll appreciate this, early on as a broker, it's tough. Your knuckles are bloodied. Your mouth is dry. I mean, you're just begging to get hired. You're working on tough assignments. People treat you like the water boy. I mean, it's brutal.
You can get your hands on, yeah.
But if you work at this long enough and you work hard enough, you develop a brand and a market share and clients and relationships and know-how and comps and history. And I can drive up and down this. I've sold 550 deals in the state of Utah. I can drive around this town. I'm like, I sold that 3 times. I own that one. And there is an intoxication of the connection of this business. As an alpha male, it's retire to what? We are built to create, to build, to serve, to love, to get up in the morning and conquer. And so I'm pretty good at some other things in my life. I like to teach. I like to play golf. Pickleball is an addiction right now, but I'm best at real estate. Mm-hmm. So why would I leave those dues that I've paid? And I tell people all the time, we're not curing cancer in real estate. At the end of the day, we're making most of the time rich people richer. But and you say I don't care about the money. Money's how we keep score.
Sure.
So, and I like to win. I like to play games. I play online Scrabble. I play Boggle. Like, I like to win. I like to compete. Real estate gives me the opportunity to still compete and to win and to serve people, to problem solve, to get to yes. And to me, it is not about the money anymore, but it's about all those other principles. And that's really what drives me. And I'd love to have more people come into my business. You know, I've named it the Blanchard Investment Group, and you know, I think over time it's going to outlive me.
I like that.
Yeah.
And you just hired somebody else on your team too.
Yeah. Brandon Nelson, who's been a property manager for 12 years. And that's a great example, Chad, of how I want to help other people find success in this. And there's momentum in this business. And the minute you step out of the deal wheel and you unplug, your power in the business goes way down. And so as long as I've got the horsepower and the right team around me and clients that'll keep hiring me, I want to keep having $100 million months. But
so you're a big happiness guy. Like, you're one of the happiest people outwardly that I've ever known in this business. I've worked with you for 25. I've never seen you down. I'm sure you have been, but I kind of view myself as a steady guy. I'm never up or down, but you're one of those rare guys that like can be up all the time and never fall below the baseline.
yeah.
Is that intentional, or is that just?
I mean, some of it's probably how I'm just wired. And then some of it is absolutely intentional. I would say I'm addicted to living an optimal life, to being happy. I also don't come from a lot. And so I have this viewpoint every day of gratitude where I feel like I have so much gratitude in my heart every day and you read books when you're young, A Man's Search for Happiness, and you realize that happiness is a choice. And a lot of happiness, there's an equation behind happiness. Happiness equals expectations minus results. Sorry, results minus expectations. Yep. I've always kind of said, I don't expect success. I don't expect to be given anything. And every little thing in my life, the sunset, I appreciate for a sunset. And so I think if you have a set point of gratitude and your expectations are low, then when your results are high, that delta between results and expectations is happiness. So when a client thinks my property is worth 100 million, you get them 90, they're pissed. Mm-hmm. If the same property sells at 90, but that they thought they were getting 80, they're thrilled. Now, in both cases, the property sold for 90.
Right.
So managing expectations for our clients and for ourselves of what we're entitled to. I don't think I deserve anything. I don't think I'm entitled to anything. So God has blessed me with health and wealth and relationships and family. And I just feel so thankful. So I think the happiness is a result of not feeling entitled, not feeling like I deserve anything. And so what I have obtained and experienced, I'm just so appreciative of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great attitude. What's the Jurassic Park mentality?
Oh, so, there's people that get really worried in life about the latest trend that's going to cripple society or change life as we know it. And we've seen black swan events, the great financial crisis and COVID, and right now AI is the big thing. And everybody should be talking about AI because it is the thing.
Yeah.
I'm using it, and every day my mind is blown at new applications. I was talking with my daughter about her homework last night. We're talking about how to use AI to help her learn faster.
I was too, except for I said, you need to do your homework. And she said, I'll just use AI. It'll take 5 minutes.
But therein lies, are we going to buck the resources, or are we going to allow ourselves to say, now the critical skill is not obtaining the information, it's knowing how to frame questions that allow us to obtain the right information and then synthesize the information to apply it. That's actually where workplaces and education needs to go, rather than say, well, AI is shortcutting or cheating. It's not. We just need to reframe what we're educating ourselves for. But my sense of AI is Jurassic Park. If you remember that great movie, there's a wonderful line in it, and it says this: life finds a way. Remember that?
Yeah.
It's awesome. And that is true. If you look at the history of our species in this planet, life finds a way. So is AI going to change the world and create 20% structural unemployment and vacant office buildings and take society so that we're eventually taken over by robots and everybody becomes just sloths consuming and entertaining? I don't think so, because I think life will find a way. Office buildings will find a way to repurpose. Humans still need collisions. They need culture. And so I've been selling a lot of office spaces, and that's the way that I'm using that phrase, is everybody's freaked out thinking AI is going to cripple employment and it's going to render office space as we know it as archaic. And my point is, poor office space, class B, C stuff that people don't physically want to be in, you might be right. It'll be converted to housing or taken down. But good pieces of class A real estate, well located, amenitized, with the right feeling. Humans need a place to gather. And so you should be buying office. If you're not buying office right now, the right building, the right rent roll, right location, amenities, it's like saying in 2009 when the stock market was at a historic low, I just don't want to buy stocks because it's scary. When it's scary and the pendulum's moved, be a contrarian. That is the art of investing, is you have to buy when the herd has left.
So you think there's a generational opportunity in class B and C office right now?
I think B and C is a stock picker's market. You could get burned by buying B and C because I don't know that those assets will command.
It's got to be some compelling story.
I think the generational opportunity is buying class A office. B and C will eventually be repurposed, fueling more demand for office for class A. And replacement cost is going through the roof.
Totally.
And so the existing class A, I've sold 16 office buildings last year and a half, and I've personally invested in like 9 of them because this thesis is real. So
most of which were class A.
All of which are class A. That to me is the thing. B and C is a different scenario entirely, and that's case by case. So yeah, life will find a way though. We are not going to go to structural unemployment, and office buildings are not going to be rendered as archaic.
What do you feel like is the hottest sector within investment right now?
Well, everybody likes the sureness of industrial, and we live in a consumption economy and more onshoring with, drama overseas and tariffs. And so industrial is the darling. It's funny because when I started in the business, the highest cap rates, the least sexy asset class was industrial. Yeah. And we were mostly a flyover market.
As was retail. Both of those were
retail went through a dog time. And now it's a darling again.
In 2008-9, you couldn't even get a bank to lend on a retail investment acquisition.
And now we're at 3% vacancy in retail.
Yeah.
Cap rates are, in the 6s or
historically
lower.
Compressed. Yeah.
And debt's not even accretive to that. And so retail's hot for sure. And we sell a lot of retail. Industrial continues to be hot. Cap rates should be higher based on the yield curve, and they're not, just because people want to be in that space. It's seen as safe, and it's seen as a place where rent growth can happen. Multifamily's got some challenges right now. You've had other people on the pod.
Definitely.
Where we just got to work through inventory, work through concessions and affordability. But Utah is interesting because our claim to fame here used to be we're a low-cost of business place.
That's right.
Come exploit the housing arbitrage,
Right.
the labor,
Cap rate arbitrage.
all of it.
Yeah.
We were a low cost leader. That was our value proposition compared to Phoenix, Denver, LA, Portland, Seattle. That has changed in our 2.5 decades on the job here. We've become now a quality play, a flight to quality, a safety play, a culture play, a work ethic play.
Not a week goes by that I don't talk to somebody in New York or wherever looking to buy something in Utah because they heard it was all those things you just mentioned. And I tell them a cap rate and they're like, oh, I can get a 6 cap. I can get that same product in Texas or Alabama or whatever for 7.5. I'm like, okay.
There's no growth. There's no growth in Alabama. Here we have, as we all know, the lakes and the freeway. We have the third world birth rate. We have still net in migration that's compelling. And so Utah's, it's the place. I mean, Brigham Young had it right? It's the place.
What do you think about, I'm really polarized on this subject, but what's your take on data centers?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a darling right now in the industry. And we know some people here that are doing it right. And I'm not a data center expert. So if we talk about something I have deep expertise in, I'll tell you that. But I'm watching the trends. I mean, it comes down to power availability and, finding the right land position and municipalities that'll play ball, particularly with the power. But based on how everything's going with the demands for cloud and AI, it is super, super compelling to play in that space.
Yeah, it's really interesting to me. And I just wonder if it's sustainable. We've seen so many booms and bust cycles of niche commercial real estate over the years. And it feels like one of those on the surface, but AI is so compelling.
And it's still early stages.
I don't want to use the sentence, it's different.
It's different this time.
Yeah.
I do think we're early stages. And so I think it's got room to run. That's my personal view, is there's absolutely room to run, and that's going to stay hot for a while. At some point in time, like almost every trend, it'll get overcooked, and then there'll be a boom and bust probably on the back end of this thing. But I think we're still in the second inning of that trend, maybe third.
What are some cool things that you're excited about that you're working on personally? Obviously, you don't have to give us specifics, but in general, like what excites you right now that you see in front of you?
Yeah, I mean, the Jazz going out of tank mode is amazing for 2027.
If that happens, yeah.
It's got to happen. We now have the pieces. I'm given good assurances by the powers that be.
Total side story.
Yeah.
I'm somewhere with Bryce 20 years ago. I can't remember where we were. We were out of town somewhere at some convention, and you and I were talking about something, and you looked at me and you said, I'll probably be the GM of the Jazz one day.
I did say that.
And I was like, but nobody now knows more about Jazz top to bottom than you that I've ever met in my life.
Well, I love the NBA. I played college basketball. I've been a basketball junkie, which is funny because I'm a midget. So it's ironic that I was drawn to basketball, but I've always loved the NBA. And there was a time in my life where maybe I'll do real estate for a while to build up my chip stack, and then maybe I'll chase that and get into the ownership and management side of pro sports. I also love baseball. And I actually own a pro sports fund with Arctos as one of my investment vehicles. And right now, Chad, you talk about a passion I'm doing. I don't know if I want to break this story right here. I guess we'll break it right here on your podcast.
Let's go.
I'm in final negotiations to buy a pro pickleball team and relocate that team to Utah.
Nice.
So that is a little side action thing for me that's going to manifest my love for sports, put me in an ownership position. I'm also hoping to play.
So this is self-serving.
This is somewhat self-serving.
It's like LeBron starting a new league.
I'm going to be a player owner. I'll draft myself first overall. So I think pickleball is a huge trend that I've got passion towards, both playing, owning the ecosystem. And I'm spending more and more time on that, supporting a lot of people that are in that space as well in different ways. The Jazz are an exciting thing. Clearly, the merger of our company to me was another level up, and getting us all under one roof is going to be really exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be cool.
On the personal front, Shelly and I are about to be empty nesters. And so our last daughter, Miley, is going to be leaving us, in a year and a couple months.
We're in the exact same boat.
That's wild. So I do ask myself every day, what's next? I think the pickleball thing's part of what's next. I still love golfing. We got some charity things we want to do. I'm getting more involved up at the U. They've had me up there several times to teach.
Yeah, it's cool. I watched one of those.
Yeah,
it's pretty awesome.
There's some passions out there. The Jazz, I don't think they've got a great GM with Austin Ainge. I golfed with him the other day, and they're going the right places. And that's probably a bigger job than I'm willing to take over in my 50s. Not that they're hiring anyway, but
what's the deal with the pickleball? I mean, obviously super popular right now. Utah in particular seems like it's really gained a foothold here.
Yeah.
Denver, I think, is another market.
Yeah. I mean, the Pardo family's from Utah. And so they started the PPA, and then the MLP side's the team side. And then they sold it to some big money in Dallas, a part of it. So it's on the rise. And if you look at the MLP teams, it's like who's who in pop culture. Athletes, A-list celebrities. Tom Brady owns a team. It's like amazing, the people that are investing in pickleball.
Yeah.
Vince Vaughn owns a team in the senior league, which is the one I'm talking about. And the senior leagues right now joining forces with the MLP. So it'll all be one league, kind of like the PGA Tour with the regular and then the senior division.
So the team will be the Utah whatever, and they'll tour.
I'm working on the naming right now.
I don't want to ruin that. Yeah,
but
I'm going to suggest the Yetis.
Utah Yetis is on the board. The Salt Lake Scrappers is another one. Salt Lake Shredders, Utah Summit. There's a few things that we're bumping around. We'll see. But the deal's not done yet. But pickleball is a huge trend, number one health and fitness trend in America. One of the reasons is if you can walk and chew gum, you can step on a pickleball court and play. If you're 8 years old, you can play. If you're 80 years old, you can play. And it doesn't take 5 guys and a ball.
That's right.
It doesn't take, and the injury risks are lower. And so it's a beautiful sport. What I've seen, it's a combination between when a serve happens, it's like a football snap. There's that adrenaline of here we go, the play's on. But it has the fluidity and the spacing of almost like a basketball secondary break where you're moving the ball around and bodies are in motion, the ball's moving spots. It's like physical chess. I think it's the best thing going.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
So where would you guys play?
Well, there's multiple facilities in Utah. I play at the Pickler a lot.
Okay.
But they're groundbreaking, I think, this month in a location in South Jordan right off the freeway. That'll be the coolest facility, biggest, best facility in the world.
Dang.
With 47 courts right off I-15.
That's cool.
That is part of the Utah Black Diamonds. It'll be their home, and it'll host international tournaments.
Huh.
Yeah. Utah's all in on pickleball. The big PPA tournament is in St. George next week at Black Desert.
At Black Desert.
Yeah.
And you'll get a little bit of golfing in too.
I will. It's going to be 90.
Is it really?
Global warming is real. I didn't know that.
Turns out Al Gore was right.
He may have been.
Any other final advice you got for us? You're always full of quotes and Bryce-isms.
Yeah, that's a
I try to write down as many of them as I can along the way.
That's a great question. I think everybody's just got to find things that give them passion.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody's got to find and be true to their whys. Everybody should be intentional. I think too often in life, the inertia of our life, society's values, other people's expectations push and pull people different ways. And what I would encourage everybody is to be quiet and just ask yourself, what am I doing and why? And be as true to that as you can be. And we all have, there's mortgages to be paid and there's chores to be done. So it's not like we can all just, chase passions from sun up to sundown. There's real life that gets in the way.
Mm-hmm. But
I think we're on this earth to find our whys and to be true to ourselves and lift where we stand. Be great in where you've been placed in a family, in a community, in a business, and decide every day that every person you meet that day is a brother or a sister, and you want to lift them. You want to bless them. You want to compliment them. You want to smile at them. You want to have an interaction that's positive because you give what you get in life. And I truly view the world. It's not me against the world as a competitor, and I am super competitive. But I choose to say it's me with the world. The world is. I don't experience it as my adversary. I experience the world as my ally, and I try to use things and people around me to accomplish things together. And I think that's a healthy worldview. And that old saying that always resonates with me is how you do anything is how you do everything.
You do everything.
So I just tell people, be great in whatever you're doing in this moment. Know how mundane or that nobody's watching. Just choose to be great. Be excellent in that thing. And then that pattern will permeate your life.
I'm not going to be able to sum up Bryce Blanchard any better than you just did.
I love it.
So I just want to say personally, I really appreciate it. Really appreciate you giving us some time here. I know you're super busy and I had to drag you out of it.
And I was late.
Making
I'm sorry.
deal.
I'm so late all the time. That's one of my fatal flaws.
He did come running into the room on a phone talking about a deal. So
all day, every day.
Love you, appreciate you, respect you, and just gratitude and
Thanks,
thankful that you're here and that we're doing this together for however many decades we're going to finish this thing together. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll be the first listener of this pod.
Love coming back at you. Appreciate everything you've done. The opportunity you've provided for for us to bring the band back together and ride off into the sunset together is phenomenal. So
gonna be a
personal
fun one.
thanks to you.
Thank you. Bryce Blanchard, everybody. Thank you. Awesome.